and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to bring to you Season 1, Episode 8, Meat Cleaver.
Twiztid, and the insane clown posse, forming a 50-foot Voltron in your ass.
Welcome everyone to the Juggalo Rewind podcast, where we dive song by song into the Juggalo classics. My name is Peter. I am here remotely for the first time with Chris. Chris, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me? I'm still here.
Good job.
Down in the basement.
Down in Studio B.
Yeah.
And this is a very special episode because we have our first, Rex was a guest early, but he was taking Chris's place. Today we have a guest, our good buddy Bob. What is up, Bobby?
Hello. Well, nothing too much. Trying to go back in the Wayback Machine of remembering things like Meat Cleaver and the concert tours from 25 years ago at this point.
This is what we're all about. We grab our old friends and they're like, we can talk about that. And then they start digging deeper and deeper. And before you know it, they're painting their faces and coming out to shows. And it's
Halloween is right around the corner. I mean,
this is a nostalgia trip for everyone. This is perfect. Just to get all of this out of the way, Juggalo Rewind can be found on Twitter and Instagram at JuggaloRWD. JuggaloRWD@gmail.com is our email address. We're on Facebook for you boomer juggalos. Just find Juggalo Rewind there. And you can find us on Spotify, Apple, Podbean, all those good places. Wherever you're listening to this, you can find us. And then JuggaloRewind.com is the website. This week, as Bob alluded to, well, let's get into Bob first. Forget the song. We want to talk to Bob and get his Juggalo credentials here. Tell all the listeners who you are, anything you want to share about yourself and your Juggalo history, if you will.
All right. Well, I guess my jug credentials go back to, what would that be, like the oddities, 1997, 98?
Yes.
And, as much as people want to crap all over the oddities or ICP being part of WWF at the time, like that was my introduction to ICP. A friend of mine at the time.
Not the only person. Like, we hear that a lot, so...
A friend of mine at the time, this guy Matt, he listened to him before that, but for whatever reason, it took them being involved with wrestling to open my eyes to Shangri-La and the Carnival.
Jesus Christ! Not to already correct your story, but how did you not know about them from ECW? Because you grew up in the Philly area. Like, how did that not catch on first?
So I was strictly like a WWF person, right? And so while I was around the Philadelphia area, I didn't really like follow ECW or know even of it until I guess the same time frame, 97, 98. Like, that's when I started watching ECW because it was just like just the right kind of thing. Like, I think like the NWO was my introduction to WCW also. Before that, I never really watched it.
Gotcha.
I would catch it every so often and just think, like I'd watch like WCW Saturday night and I'd be like, this sucks compared to like WWF. Like, look at how crappy it is. Where's Max Moon or somebody? Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Where's Mantar?
This isn't a wrestling podcast, goddammit. We should have had you on the wrestling podcast. Back to Juggaloism.
So them being involved with WWF was my introduction to them, and then my first CD, my first call it album was the Amazing Juggalo Brothers Sampler. Is that right? It was a red cassette tape.
Yeah, there had to be a sampler to that. Was that
Professor?
That's Fat or Whack, right?
Yes, yeah, Fat or Whack. That's what it was. Yeah, and so I remember being on art trip with high school, and we stopped somewhere, as like a bathroom break or a little rest stop, and there was like a music store or something, and they had the free samples there, and grabbed that, and then that was how that was my next step, sort of, in a sense, with the Fatter Whack tape, and then I think my first album was Amazing Jekyll Brothers, and went to the tour that which I'm blanking on the name of the tour, that had Coal Chamber. Was it
just
Amazing
the Jekyll Brothers tour? Yeah, I don't think I have a name.
Yeah, okay, and so that was like their second or third date on the tour, because Coal Chamber was still on the tour. And and then went like to all over. I mean, like probably like 6 states or something. 3 or 4, 5 gatherings, something like that. Ran a website which, for the last few days, I've been racking my brain trying to remember. It was Psychopathic Freak Show.
Yes, it had the dash in the middle, right?
Yeah. Of course,
need the hyphen for sure.
And I think it did some trading here and there, and then just sort of fell out of it as I got a little bit older, and life got a little bit busier, and the music got a little bit not as good, maybe.
Yes. I'm just stuck on the fact that you got Fatter Whack for free, and Chris paid $5 for it when he was a kid.
I bought both versions, cassette and CD. That's how they roll on Rock of Ages.
What a mark.
I think I probably still have that cassette if you want it.
I'm sure Chris still has. I know I still have mine.
Oh, mine's still sealed. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. They're a big mark.
All the rest of the cassette
on campus.
The rest of the cassette tapes are sitting in the van, actually getting bumped. I was listening to Carmel Carnage in there the other day.
You should bust open your Fatter Whack.
I don't want to open it. It feels weird.
I agree. I have enough.
Not like it's worth anything.
Yeah, it's worth the $3 that you paid for it.
It's degrading in value.
So not only just like your Juggalo history, but let's because we didn't talk about this yet today, Bob. Where did me and you meet? Do you remember?
So this was a fun story of sorts. So there's our official meeting, and then there's us meeting. Which one do you want?
Yeah, like I don't think I met you the first time. In Philly.
I'm not sure we really met, but we met, sort of. It was one of these kind of things. Like, so 2000 gathering. This is how different times are today, right?
We're old ass shitty men.
Yeah.
Back in my day in 2000.
Gathering of the Juggalos, right? Everybody got to go, man. It's the first gathering of the Juggalos. It's a big deal.
Except me, I couldn't. I didn't have a car. My mom wouldn't drive me 3 days.
Because you were like 8.
I was 15, 14.
She wouldn't drive you there, but she snuck you into a Christmas party with a fake ID.
Hell yeah, man.
That's a story for later in the season. Go ahead. Sorry.
So the friend that we were supposed to stay with, like, he got grounded, and now all of a sudden we weren't allowed to go stay with him or something. And so I think because summer of 2000, what am I? I'm 18. Yeah, I'm 18 at that point. But still, like, I don't know, I'm 18, but, like, you're still kind of under your parents a little, like, money-wise and everything. But so, because I just graduated high school, and there's a Juggalo newsletter mailing list or something like that, or I don't remember exactly. And somebody posted on there, hey, if any Juggalos need a place to stay, like, my house is open. And me and my friend Matt were like, well, it's that or the car. So
you picked the car.
So we just trusted in random Juggalo offering up their house. And I remember us driving, it's like 12 hours from Philadelphia area. And, like, we're, like, imagining, like, what if this is, like, some, like, dude who, like, is going to try to kill us? Like, only one of us can sleep at a time or something. Or, like, what if, like, worse? Like, it's, like, some, like, I don't even know what. Like,
I don't. Yeah, what's worse than getting killed in your sleep? Jesus.
Like takes us hostage or something. I don't know. Like we just thought, like tried to come up with. I remember us thinking the craziest scenarios. Yeah, no. Instead, it was Tom and Garden City, and it was awesome, and it was the beginning of a lifelong friendship with you and Rex and others, which just because of the way life is hasn't been as strong. But this is us getting the band of sorts back together.
Getting the band back together. That's great.
But the unofficial meeting was like 2 weeks prior because you guys were in Philadelphia for an ECW arena show, and Tom was dressed up as the Red Hatchet Man, and us being all juggaloed out. I think we also had like a sign that said something, so then we were all talking to you guys, and I vaguely remember us saying anything more than like hello or whatever, but
you had a sign that said something. That's fascinating.
Yeah, I think it was probably it
Prancing
probably
469.
It probably if I remember right, it probably had like Psychopathic Freak Show and like a Hatchet Man on it, trying to get people to go to our stupid website.
Shocking. Oh yeah, the good old days. That's what I remember. That ECW arena show, and then if I don't remember if I talked to you guys, but definitely remember Tom coming back and being like, "Saw two juggalos." And I'm like, okay, like you're dressed like an asshole, so of course they're gonna gravitate to you. So, but yeah, so we go back. I mean, since that's 2000, goddamn, over 20 years. So that's that's crazy.
I mean, are we able to go off of on a tangent? Speaking of looking like assholes, like
usually we do. We'll allow it this one time, and then we'll get into the nitty gritty because we'll have you back in the future, so we can't waste all of our good stories. But you go right ahead.
We'll have to try to remember what tour it was, what tour stop, but us driving from you guys like meeting up in Western PA, or maybe we all drove sort of from Detroit or whatever. Anyway, and running out of gas on the Pennsylvania Turnpike.
Yeah, that was not our finest moment, and that ties into that because you and Tom have like your twisted hair, and your fucking contacts, looking like two jerk offs, and I'm like,
I didn't have contacts at that point. Just hair.
I'm the only normal looking one, so I had to be the one that like knocked on people's doors and asked them for gas.
So we walked from the turnpike to the houses that were nearby, knocking on doors. And I remember one, like, they must have hid like as far as possible inside the house, and were like yelling, "Go away, go away,
go away!" Like you're zombies out there.
I know that was 20 years ago, but I think about this more often than I should. In retrospect, it seems like it was super quick. It wasn't that long. Like the houses were right there. But at the time, that was probably fucking hours and like miles of walking, right?
No. I think the houses were right there. I think we were probably not probably the whole like walking and getting back and the gas and all was maybe an hour is my guess. Maybe 8, maybe a little bit more.
It seems like that to my adult mind, but at the time, I don't know. I can't believe we didn't have to like hop a fence or do anything. Like it seems too surreal in retrospect. But yeah.
And the worst, I remember the gas station really was just like 2 miles down the road.
Yeah. We could have just walked there. Those are good times. I'm glad you brought up that story. It's a classic.
It's the best story.
Yeah. Okay, so now that we've gotten all the pleasantries out of the way,
there's the jug credentials.
Yeah, you dropped your jug card on the table. Let's get to the meat and potatoes of what we're talking about here. We are talking the song "Meat Cleaver" by Twiztid,
featuring
a lot of people.
Yeah,
featuring. Yeah, skipping right
basically
ahead.
At that time.
Oh, that's the title, right? It's the artist and who is on it with him. That's all. I'm just adding.
All right. Thank you. Getting through all the little details here. Meat Cleaver is produced by Mike E. Clark. Is this the first?
It's the second one, I believe, we've gotten.
Of like a real track? Like, I know he did the intro and the smoke breaks, but has he done? Oh, he did First Day Out. You're right. So, as
First
always,
original then, not a cover.
Yeah, cover. Mike Clark produced. Time on this track 4 minutes 25 seconds. Good lord,
They got some marathon ones on this album, don't they?
they do. They're packing them in there.
Not lean and mean like the 2021s.
No,
I feel like this song also like sticks out on this album. Like it doesn't mesh with the other songs very well. With like just the way their sound is and all.
You're talking our language. We'll definitely talk about that here in a minute. I'm glad you're already on the same page as we are. We are talking track number 8 on the original version of Mostasteless, and this is not on the reissued version. I'm sure we could talk about this later, but if we just want to jump into it real quick right now, Chris, why do you think this is not on the reissue?
Though there's no samples on this one, so there's no clearances that I know of that they have to jump hoops through. So
right, I was trying to do a little digging. Like Myzery was still on the label. It's not like they were trying to ace him.
That was going to be my guess. Yeah,
no, because the reissue was only like 9 months after, so it wasn't that long.
Also strange, this is the only Mikey Clark not on the reissue.
Yeah, they just wanted it to look good, not like they were totally cutting all the Scott Sumner songs. They were like,
we gotta get rid of one. Let's get this one.
Yeah, sorry, Mike, you gotta go. And there's not like an overt, like violent tone to the song, like other than the name. It's not like there's something where they're like, oh shit, we can't have that in a national publication. Like
maybe Jay's just like, I don't like being called a molester on this one. Let's get rid of this one. We'll get to that later.
Talking about your dick in your homie's butt. Quality lyrics. He's like, that's not our best outing. We'll just cut that out. So being a Mike Clark song, it's not on the demo. It's not on the House of Horrors tour. So it's right there in the psychopathic era of Twiztid. Since there's no differences, I think we can just skip right ahead and say that this song is also found on Psychopathics from Outer Space, and it found its way on the Cryptic Collection, just like most things did that fell off of Mostasteless.
Yeah, what a dumping ground that was for this album.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean, on both of those, but, they needed to get it out somewhere. So.
Right.
Like Chris said, there's no samples, so it's just kind of a pretty simple beat. But
I'm sure he pulled something from somewhere, but nothing over the top that stands out.
Yeah, no En Vogue samples or anything crazy.
Not just jacking the entire song from Cemetery Slaves.
Or, there's been a couple that we've found, and this one, pretty simple beat. Do we have anything else on that? I don't think so. I think we're ready to just jump into the song. Are you guys ready?
Let's go.
Do it.
Locked and loaded.
Well, since neither one of you have probably listened to the song as many times as I have, I will lead the way. So it starts... let's start with this. Just the name, Meat Cleaver. We're under the assumption that it is a reference to the Hatchet Man, correct?
Actually, the Hatchet Man should just be called the Meat Cleaver Man, because a hatchet doesn't really look like what he's holding. He's actually holding a meat cleaver.
Technicalities.
Yeah. Meat Cleaver Man, I guess, doesn't sound as cool.
These are the things that we discuss on this podcast. This is why we're award-winning.
Back in college, wearing the Hatchet Man, I remember somebody thinking that maybe I was like, they asked if it was like native, something to deal with the like Native Americans, and I was like, no.
Well, that's like taken from that little guy, right? He's playing like a flute or something.
Or I thought he had like a peace pipe.
Dug out while we're talking.
Something like that.
Still on the chain, my Hatchet Man from the 2000 gathering.
Yes. Look at you. So you're going to wear that when you come out here when you break your retirement, right? What retire? We didn't even talk about this. What retirement are you going to break first? Juggalo show or wrestling? Because we didn't mention that Bob is also a wrestler. How did we skip over that?
Good question.
are both on indefinite hiatus?
I would say so, yeah.
Wow.
Life and COVID has really put a damper on the wrestling for me. Having a newborn, almost 9-month-old, I couldn't bear with the idea of putting him at risk and bringing home the Rona. So, it's kind of on pause.
Look at you being a responsible adult.
Well, come out to Hollow Wicked. There won't be. I'm sure everyone there is fully vaccinated and safe and sound.
Yeah, they have masks. I want
The Fago knocks the coronavirus out of the air. I think they studied that.
Yeah, that's the newest CDC finding for sure.
The Fago brings it down to the ground.
I've been in the crowds at the gathering, so many days of people not taking showers and everything. I'm sure I have the best immune system for it. So,
all right. If we're gonna, we can't skip over Bob being a wrestler if I don't mention that he was also, if you don't mind us saying, that you were on WWE TV getting squashed by Ryback. Would that be your I don't want to say that's your claim to fame, but is that on your top list of things you tell people about, or is that not even something you mentioned?
Yeah, no. That I was week number 2, and Ryback in interviews credits me in that match for actually really being the stepping stone to him being something in WWE. Because the first week he debuted, it just didn't go well, the match, and he didn't look like a killer and everything like that. And so week 2. They're hyping him up that you got to really kill this kid. You really got to take his head off. And well, he did. If you go and find that match, and that's where he said for the first time, "Feed me more" and everything, and just
It's gonna be a good old-fashioned squash match.
You know what, Tony? I think you're right. It's going to be priceless.
Yes.
This next match is set for one fall. Introducing first, from Chicago, Illinois, weighing in at 185 pounds, Benny Kamer.
Benny Kamer.
This is my first match in the WWE.
Now, it's going to be your last, kid.
And his opponent, from Sin City, weighing in at 291 pounds, Ryback.
Oh, yeah. Whoa. What's your chances on that, Tony? Well, I'm going to put my money on the young kid. You are? Yeah, you're going for the underdog. Let me tell you something, guys. This is old school right here. This is the way we used to do it back in the day. Just go out there and take somebody straight out of the game.
You never did that.
Something like that.
Here is your winner, Ryback.
he's been cool when I've met him, ran into him previously and everything like that. So I have no problem with Ryback.
Don't hurt your shoulder patting yourself on the back over Ryback's push there.
But I also got eaten up by the Dude Busters on WWE's ECW, and yeah.
You got you have long credentials. I mean, you went to Taz's what do you call it, finishing school. I mean, you were on Ring of Honor, TNA. You did a lot of good stuff, so we don't want to gloss over that.
I had a couple of dark matches for TNA. Did when Ring of Honor was on HDNet. Did a bunch of things for them. Super 8.
The Super 8's real cool. We talked about that on our wrestling podcast. Well, you were never on it. God forbid you're a wrestler and we don't talk to you. But that Super 8, in retrospect, the names that were in there were kind of fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's like
Aries were the only losers.
Yeah, but the rest of that was stacked. I mean, you include it. I'll include you in that. That's fine.
But then also, I went to England for a little bit, for a month. I've done a lot of cool things because of wrestling.
All right, so you're more of a wrestler than you are a juggalo, is what you're saying.
So I would say, I was trying to figure this out, right? I think also part of the reason I fell out of juggaloism was because wrestling was picking up. And so I can't do both every weekend.
You can still listen to CDs. You don't have to like just give up on.
I listened to all the old stuff that I liked, and then just slowly, I guess, fell out. I guess, but yeah, I listened to all the stuff that previously, and it was just when Hell's Pit came out, I just was like, nah, I'm done with this.
I think we all kind of went on a little hiatus after that one.
Yeah, I think
came back to the
ICP went on a hiatus after that.
Oh, and I remember this also. So like the music, and maybe correct me if I feel like their music wasn't the Twiztid, more ICP's music, not Twiztid, because obviously like with a smoke break and almost every song on Mostasteless, Secondhand Smoke, they're talking about weed and drugs and stuff like that. But I feel like ICP wasn't like all about the drugs, and then like somewhere around there, I feel like it got heavier with the drugs and stuff like that.
Well, if it wasn't in the actual songs, it was in the actual doing of
it ran through the veins. Rainbow stew, as we called it.
The A to Z soup. All right. Well, we took a little detour there, but that's okay. We wanted to.
There's going to be some more, I think.
Yeah, we try to keep the detours to a minimum, but it's difficult enough with me and Chris. It's throwing a third voice in here we're going to get ridiculous. Okay, back to the song here, Meat Cleaver. It starts with a little intro where Twiztid's, introing who's all on the track. And it should be noted, I think you guys already mentioned, this is the first time everyone's on a track. So it's like your introduction to the psychopathic family, if you will, which is Twiztid, ICP, and Myzery. The thing that I pull most, I pull two things from the intro here as I look at the lyrics. One, when they mention each group, they have like a little background noise. Like Chris and I have talked about that in other episodes where it's like you can hear people talking in the background. And it just gives it a little different vibe. When they say the Insane Clown Posse, you hear in the background, know what I'm saying. And we're definitely going to touch on that at the very end. So that's a cliffhanger for the end. They also say that all three groups are forming a 50-foot Voltron. So I got to ask you two, because I know the answer. Voltron or Transformers?
Oh, not even a question.
Well, I mean, how...
Or does it have to be an either or?
Yeah, no, it's definitely not an either or. I mean, I feel like the either or is Voltron or like Power Rangers. Right?
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Right? And still Voltron is the best out of them. But like,
oh my God, you're taking Voltron over Transformers?
No. Not over Transformers, over the Power Rangers. Yeah.
Okay. I was about to leave.
No.
Just want to make sure that we're a Transformer-friendly podcast here.
No. I was all looking at going to the breaking COVID restrictions of sorts and going to the movie theater for the I think it's 35th anniversary of the movie coming out.
Yeah. Oh shit.
I think me and Pete went to the 30th anniversary.
30th. Yeah, I just got the Facebook memory of going to the 30th.
Man, we may have to go to the 35th.
Right.
All right, mask up. Let's go.
I think I got it on DVD and Blu-ray.
Yeah, I picked up the Blu-ray. I still have a VHS of it.
Oh, that's good stuff.
I think that was the first movie I ever saw in the movie theater.
The original run when you were a kid? Oh, man.
No, the 30th anniversary, you asshole. You have the original one.
I didn't know you were into it back then. That's all.
Yeah, I was an OG.
I can't wait to traumatize my child with having him watch the series and then, pop in the movie when it's chronological.
Oh, man, yeah.
I'm going to crush him.
I remember the moment I seen that the first time, crying to my mom. I was in the bath as a little kid.
It's heartbreaking for a child. Your hero
right off the bat too. They're like, we're gonna ace the entire ship right now. Take all these guys out. I'm like, God.
It was traumatizing for me when we saw it 5 years ago.
So back to the intro.
So first verse here, we have a mix. It goes back and forth between Madrox and Monoxide. So Twiztid taking the first stab at the track here. Pun intended. I don't know. What do you think, Chris? What sticks out to you from that first verse or series of first verses? I guess.
I'm reading the lyrics now, and I don't. This is actually what he says. Holding my balls, we know, which engulfs the tip of my dick.
Yes,
that's exactly what he says.
I think so.
I guess every time I've listened to it, I never actually sat and listened to that.
Well,
yeah, is he dissing himself?
Does he have no dick? I'm confused.
Yeah, that is.
I mean, he does say the world dealt him a healthy hand of pain and lies, so I guess he probably is upset about the size of his dick.
Maybe he's just got really big hands.
I thought he was talking about the balls, or he's pouring those above his dick.
Maybe he's doing the tuck.
Yeah. Maybe this is why the song was axed from the.
I can't. I'm so. I can't believe we didn't get this far and we're already fucking on a tangent about dick and balls.
I mean, that's what stands out if you wanted me to answer.
I know it's. I know. I can't do this anymore. I'm going to die. I know it's like a famous whatever, but the first time I ever heard this was from our buddy Matt, who Bob has already talked about, where he talked about, which is ironic based on what Matt has gone through in his life, that he likes the girls with the smaller hands because it makes his dick look bigger.
Yeah.
And then you fast forward to...
Sometimes.
Fast forward to why Matt is, had trouble. So, anyways, fuck. I was thinking more things like pop culture references on this track that we can talk about, and you're talking about Madrox's dick.
I don't even know if there is pop culture in that verse.
There is, and that's why we're here on the Juggalo Rewind, to teach people who may not know these things. Like
Reynolds rap?
God damn it, Chris. He talks about your phony as the fifth Beatle. I mean, did people realize?
Madrox.
That's the next one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, Madrox is nothing. He's just talking about his dick. But his wordplay, I think we've talked about that in past episodes. Like, it's pretty good. Like, this whole verse, series of Twiztid verses shows when you see the whole song that, they're the best MCs of the group, for sure, right? I mean, his part, the Twiztid end of the beginning becomes the beginning of the end, just how fast and clean that is. I listened to it today again for the millionth time, and that whole, almost half of Madrox's first verse, he says with one breath. It's crazy. So well. Yeah.
And that's probably why you don't realize he's talking about his dick or whatever, because it just flows.
I mean, right off the bat, he's talking about making a move, drastic, psychopathic. You're nodding your head all sweet. So yeah, it doesn't even register what he's talking about in the middle there. But yeah, it does flow fantastic.
Yeah, he's the man, and it's cool how they kind of showcase Twiztid. As I should. This is their fucking CD, so.
I'm surprised ICP didn't outshine them or try to on their own CD.
Yeah, they didn't.
I don't think they ever can.
Yeah, not in that aspect for sure.
No,
we've talked about that.
Just straight MC skills, definitely not.
Oh yeah, far from it.
It's a whole different, they're almost different genres. You'd almost say the way the two of them sound.
Yeah, different game for sure. Okay, so you didn't want me to skip ahead, so now go to Monoxide's verse.
You go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, so Monoxide drops a couple things in here, your phony is the fifth Beatle. If kids today don't realize, obviously the Beatles were a four-man group, but there was always random fifth people who kind of weaved in and out, and they always laid claim that they were the fifth Beatle, but no one really ever was, right? I think there's a couple, Pete Best is the one I always remember, but there's a couple other people who try to say they were in the group, but they really weren't.
I always thought that when they say fifth Beatle, I always thought of George Martin, the dude who produced for their, producer composer dude. I always assumed he was considered the fifth Beatle because he was their Mikey Clark, as you would say.
I knew you were going to say that. the real important part of this verse, and again, Bob will be perfect for this because I've seen people think it's both, and I think we have some wrestling nerds and comic nerds here. I snap your back like I was Lex Luger or Lex Luthor.
I'm pretty sure they're talking Lex Luger there.
I would agree.
Except Twiztid aren't really like the wrestling fans.
See, we haven't talked about this in this series yet, but I really think, and I've said this for years, and everyone thinks I'm an asshole for more reasons than this, that like that was part of the gimmick that was thrust upon them. Like, oh, Twiztid doesn't even like wrestling. And everyone just bought it because that's what we were told. But they make enough references, and now we know that they do like wrestling, that like I really think it probably wasn't as cut and dry as this, but ICP sat down and they're like, okay, we're marketing all of us. We can't like the same shit. You guys are into fucking voodoo and weed and Blaze is dead and we talk about like wrestling. Like I really think they didn't want those lines to cross, but I truly believe that in my heart of hearts.
I don't think it went that far, but
yeah, I don't see them having some marketing genius.
God damn it!
I think they're marketing geniuses in a certain aspect.
They
built for sure, but yeah, like on that level of like, trying to have details like that, I don't think so. I just think Twiztid doesn't do a lot of that type of wrestling, nerdy stuff in general. Overall, I think.
Yes, they only have.
This is 97, 98. I mean, everyone's watching Nitro at that time, Luger's the man. He beat Hulk Hogan.
They're not into wrestling and nerdy shit, and they have a goddamn fucking convention just about wrestling and nerdy shit.
I meant at the time in their lyrics is what I'm saying, you asshole.
And he's Jamie Madrox. Like, that's pretty nerdy reference.
That's a coincidence at best. I don't know. I'll take my first line a step further. I think ICP didn't tell everyone what they were doing. I think they just straight up said, Twiztid doesn't like wrestling. And they made it stick. They didn't even give him the choice. They're like, we need to stand out. You guys can't talk about what we talk about. It's like you're at a wrestling show and Bob's the main event. And his finisher is, what was your finisher, Bob? Did you ever win a match?
The Tory Bob.
Sorry. And so you go to like the jobbers and the opening matches and you're like, you are not using my finisher as just a random fucking spot. I think ICP maybe did that with them. They're like, this is what we talk about. This is what we like. You can't do it.
I don't know. I could see them sort of doing something of that way, but I still don't see them like trying to draw out the characters of Twiztid and ICP and Blaze and Myzery and all the other randos that were showing up on the label over the next 10 years.
All right. Well, then I'm just digging deep. I apologize.
Do you think he's calling himself a weed abuser or Lex Luger? Kind of like he's calling Lex Luger the chronic weed abuser. That's not fair.
Noticed that.
At that point, I mean, Lex Luger's a pretty heavy drug addict, so could very well be.
Wow, allegedly.
I'll admit it.
Yeah, he's cleaned up and he's a good fellow.
Oh,
he's
a fantastic Twitter follow. He's like everyone's happy aunt.
One of the nicest guys I've ever met in wrestling. He just wanted to tell us about his 47-inch TV and how while he was on the road, he never had time for stuff like that. So now he has that, and it's the best because he can just sit back and relax and watch it. But when he was on Nitro and WCW, he never was home to have a giant TV. Yeah,
I'm happy for Lex. That's my man.
The only other thing I remember, and I think at this point I can probably admit it, was him handing me and my friend his cell phone to hold so while he did a run-in, and we just ran through real quick and got numbers to Frank.
Pete, didn't we do that with Face back in the day? He ran somewhere and we looked through his phone to see if he had Eminem in there, and he definitely did.
I don't think I was there.
Vince Russo, he had Sting and Stinger.
Yes.
Jeff Jarrett and everybody under this. I mean, a who's who of wrestling, because clearly Lex Luger would know everybody.
Right.
Why wouldn't you have a lock on your phone?
Well, because it's a flip phone in those days.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, fine. In those days, like you were wrestling in fucking 98.
I mean, flip phones were still a thing until like 2010, really. I mean, iPhones weren't till what 2007,
yeah, 8 or 9, yeah.
And they didn't.
I still work. I work with guys that have flip phones, so I shouldn't.
Yeah, I know some people with flip phones. Yeah, so
I'm surprised the guys you work with just don't have no phones because they're so conspiracy off the grid, Pete.
Well, that's also true. They they don't want the GPS on their phone noticing when they go to the Capitol, and you know. All right. Anyways, continuing through Twiztid's verse here, I don't think we have to tell everyone the money-motivated goal and a dream like Martin Luther King. Like, we don't have to tell everyone who Martin Luther King is, right? Like, even if you're a brand new Juggalo to the game, like, you should fucking know who Martin Luther King is.
Aren't, like, some schools, like, not allowed to teach about that anymore? I don't know.
Are you serious?
Depends what part of the country you're in.
Jesus Christ. But one thing that they do...
I was going to say, is this another one? Oh, the boss is making me say this. I got to put in Super Balls. Is that another thing, Pete? You going to do that again? The boss is making me do this.
Why is your Madrox impression sound like other people's Jay impression? Like
this is Pete's impression of Madrox complaining about Jay. Jay's making me do the Super Balls bit.
Oh, fuck. All right, well, he mentioned Super Bowl, so there you go. We'll just skip over that. He must have been a big fan.
What were you going to say? I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. That's all I was going to say.
I want to know what your thought was on that.
It's just it's a reference to another artist, so that's nice.
I understand.
Also, if you keep skipping forward, Monoxide starts his final part of that verse. I roll with bones, and it's on like that. So
was that his House of Crazy's name?
Yep. So it's just another. They're like in between here, where they're kind of referencing each other by both names, and we've kind of not argued, but just discussed. You know, is that just their nicknames for each other, and they just haven't given up on them? Was something like this written before they signed? Like this one, definitely not, because it has everyone on it.
It sounds and feels like one from that era, right? And it's weird because it's a Mikey Clark one. It doesn't sound like a Mike Clark one to me, and it doesn't feel like one at all.
But it's clearly like they didn't just bring this to the table with them. You know, this had to get written.
But it doesn't feel like the stuff Mikey Clark made on this, and especially in the reissue, doesn't.
Maybe, I mean, I don't know. Did they have the names Madrox and Monoxide Child maybe when they recorded it, and they were still kind of Bones and whatever?
We've kind of talked about that, yeah, this is definitely a time where they almost interchanged both of them. And I don't know if that was just a difference on when they were writing things, or if they was just kind of slip of the tongue that they referenced both. But it doesn't really happen much after the CD, but it goes to your point, Bob, that you mentioned, that we've mentioned on almost every episode, that this whole CD is schizophrenic in nature, that it's like old sounding, new sounding, this producer, that producer, old references, new references. Like, it's kind of all over the place. So that's just another part that goes towards that. I don't know. You guys have anything else about the Twiztid verses there before we move on?
No.
All right. Chris, are you still with us, or did you leave us?
I'm here. It got the sound dropped for a second for me, but I'm still here.
All right.
Monoxide drops a Toledo reference, right?
Yeah, but I don't really understand what he's saying, so that's why I just kind of...
I never knew what he said after that fifth Beatle line. The whole part, I never really fully could understand what the hell he was saying.
Yeah, rockin' Toledo like a trooper. Like okay. Do I have to drop another Dazit line in this track? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe that's what we're learning, is they're feuding with Dazit throughout this album.
That's why.
Man. In my iTunes library or Apple Music library is the Dazit disc to Eminem.
Jesus. Who would have thought in half of this season we would have talked about Daz It on 2 episodes? Anyways, then you go to the chorus, which is pretty basic.
I like all the little shout-outs for each act, though. I enjoy that.
Yeah, kind of tells you who's all here. It's a nice little introduction. Then we go into Myzery's verse, which, for those of you who don't know, Myzery was the first solo act signed by Psychopathic right around the same time as Twiztid. His CD came out right after Mostasteless, I believe.
He only had the EP, right? That's all he had on Psychopathic?
Yeah.
Many years later, they re-released it with, like, extras. But, I mean, this was, like, 10, 12 years later, I think.
The best part about the reissue is they take that long-ass intro off and make it a separate track, so you could just, like, throw the Para-Isla onto a mixed, playlist, because the Para-Isla is a fire-ass song.
Yeah.
So, and then also Myzery is Myzery's sister was married to Jumpsteady, who is Jay's brother. So there's a family tie in there.
Still together, or was that just from that era?
I honestly don't know. I know they had a daughter, and she's still in the swing of things, but I don't know if they're still married.
I forgot that's who it was. That's just a blast from the past, remembering that.
Yeah. So he mentions Minority and Jumpsteady. Minority was his hype man, and Jumpsteady is obviously Robert J. Bruce.
His brother-in-law, right?
Yes. That's how it
Something
works.
like that? No.
I don't know. Like, Myzery's verse is just kind of there. Like, I don't pull much of it, although right before we started recording, I was singing it to myself as Bob came on the line, and I'm like, oh shit, did he hear me just singing random, like, Spanish words that I don't know?
I do love when he jumps back and forth between English and Spanish on those tracks. It's good listen.
It's just, I don't know, nothing
I
really.
Say some of it doesn't really make sense either. Like constantly the derecho, like that's a derecho is like a storm, like a big like thunderstorm or something. So unless there's like another meaning for that, it just seems like a lot of words.
How much Spanish did you take, Bob? How do you know?
I only know because there was a derecho in this area in 2012 that knocked out my power for a week.
Maybe it's just like some Puerto Rican street slang.
Could be.
It's possible.
I don't know. Bob knows more than I do on this, so I'm gonna take his word that Myzery doesn't know what the hell he's talking about.
God damn. Wikipedia tells me a derecho is a widespread, long-lived straight-line windstorm.
Look at that. He nailed it.
That's because I just Googled exactly what.
God damn it.
But I recognize the word.
I don't know. I don't really have much for like the lyrics of that one, but if you guys have anything else, then
being chased down a dark alley. That's like when Rex got sent to the Myzery van. Myzery, go down that dark alley.
All right. Well, now that we're on it, let's just take a pause here before we get off of the Myzery verse.
Yeah.
This is, other than the fact that we've been friends with Bob for 20 years and that we like catching up with him, there's a reason why we wanted him on this episode. Bob, please tell us what happened that fateful night of the Gathering 2001 in Toledo, Ohio. I will lay back and let you tell the story.
So that was a great segue with running down the alley or whatever it was to the van that you said. So what is it? Gathering in Toledo 2001, Myzery and Twiztid get into a fight?
Correct.
Or something, and Twiztid or Myzery is going to stab Monoxide?
I believe Myzery had a pair of scissors, Arn Anderson style, and tried to stab Twiztid and or Blaze. Before we get too far...
Why would he stab Blaze? He's dead.
That's true. Before you get back into your story, if anyone is part of the ICP Patreon deal and you've watched any of the... They're like little ditties that their videos. They have a history of the Gathering one with Jumpsteady, Rude Boy, Shaggy, and Vince, and they actually go very in depth about this incident. So if you haven't, seen or heard about that, I would go out of your way to listen to that. But Bob is definitely going to give you the part of the story that they don't tell you.
So I think I'm in the parking lot, which is just down the street, waiting for my friend Matt, and he either comes up or asks if I don't mind if I'm okay with giving some people a ride who are trying to get away real quick, and he's not really giving much detail. And probably maybe a combo of both, right? And so it turns out he became friends with, or just ran into Myzery, or somehow like this relationship quickly was established where
quickly
he wanted to give Myzery a ride, so Myzery would not be killed by the crowd of juggalos, because word got out real quick. There was like a fight happening between Twiztid and Myzery, and the juggalos were not taking Myzery's side on it at all.
Poor Myzery.
Well, two juggalos took his side.
One for sure. One was sort of held hostage slightly. So we give him maybe it was minority.
I would assume so. Yeah.
Well, a ride and like I don't know where we're going. They're just like telling us to like go down to like some hotel like way down the highway, right? And it's just super awkward because I want to say they're in the back seat and me and Matt are in the front seat. So I'm thinking like this dude could like pull out a gun, just fucking blow out my brains or something. Like I'll just drive wherever he wants to go.
How old are you at this point? You're like 20, right?
Yeah, probably about 20, 19.
Jesus
19, because I turned 20 then in November of that year. Yeah, 19.
Oh.
And we're crashing with you, Pete, and Tom, and others at a hotel, and so we aren't like it's hours after the gathering at this point, and you guys, I remember being like, we have no idea where they are.
Yes.
Except for they're with Myzery. Somehow you had gotten word, either maybe Matt ran into you beforehand or whatever, and anyways, yeah, so we took him to whatever hotel and dropped him off, and he signed my Myzery EP, and and so we saved Myzery's life. And then
do you still have that?
Of course.
That's awesome. Please take a picture and send that to us if you have it handy.
I'm always disappointed in a sense. I have the Psychopathic Rider signed by everybody but Myzery.
Yeah, that would have been the opportunity.
Yeah, and maybe was Riders a thing yet?
Yeah, Riders was like 99, early 2000.
Damn, yeah, somehow I don't have that signed, yeah.
Now,
wait. No, maybe I have that signed, but I don't have it signed by Mars.
That would be Lotus, not Riders.
Oh.
God damn it, Bob.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not...
I'll have to dig it up. I
don't remember, obviously, as well as you do, because you were the one being the driver. But I always remembered it as you brought him back to our hotel. Like, we're like, where were you? And you're like, we have Myzery. And we're like, why'd you bring him to our fucking hotel? Like, he wasn't like in the room or anything, but I always thought it was at the same hotel we were all staying at.
That's possible that we brought him to our hotel, or we brought him there just so then we could figure out like where he wanted to go, just because it was away from like all the chaos of the gathering.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a little bit of a blur to me, but that's always how I remember it. But.
Yeah, but I just remember us driving, and like it was like that, like sort of uncomfortable silence, but they're mumbling to each other in Spanish. Sort of uncomfortable.
2 minutes ago, you said you were held fucking hostage, and now you're saying it was kind of uncomfortable.
So you said you go ahead. I'll something to ask after. Go on.
Well, I mean, they held hostage. I don't know. I didn't see any guns necessarily.
Pair of scissors, at least. You said you took him to a hotel, right?
Yeah.
So we stayed at a hotel further off site because I remember we had to get in the freeway and went on a little like looped exit to get off.
Yeah, sounds
for a
about
hotel.
right. Yeah.
And I thought we were by the casino, and we're out front one of the nights. I'm like, is this the night you dropped him off? We're out in front of the hotel one night, hanging out. Myzery comes out. He's like, hey, who wants to go to the casino? And he's trying to get us to go, and I'm like, I'm underage. I can't go. He's like, no, come on, let's go to the casino. And he kept saying that in front of the hotel, like we're all congregating. And I'm like, is this the same night? Like, is that where you dropped him off as a hotel? We were off the beaten path. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, no, that could have very well been, because, like, why else would he have been out there? I don't know what night. That's probably the Saturday night, because is my guess. Because at that point, gathering is Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
I thought it was only 2 nights back then, but I don't remember if it was.
Oh yeah, maybe just Saturday, Sunday. Well, then it would definitely have been Saturday.
Yeah.
Why would we have? Yeah, it's so weird. Like, why would we have stayed the second night? Like, why wouldn't we have just driven home? You know?
No, we probably
long drive. It's fucking Toledo. Well, for us, it's an hour.
Toledo. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I was thinking of Peoria's distance. Yeah.
We definitely. I think after the gathering, say Sunday night, we would have driven home for sure. Yeah.
I don't know. I do remember that Toledo gathering fell right on Tom's birthday, and I really think he drove home that night. Like in
gathering
between,
of the Juggalos is July 13, 14, and 15.
Oh my God, 3 nights.
Yeah, I thought it was 3.
Same year that someone punched a horse in the parking lot.
Yes,
so I was trying to find the footage from that, because I seen some footage. I don't know if it was that one or the Peoria one. I get them blended together, but I was on the news because I had a chair from JCW, and I remember hitting Steve in the head with the chair for the local news. So I found some local news footage, but that wasn't on there. I was like, damn, that'd been hilarious to see that.
What a stupid little Mark kid you were.
Crawling under the ring to grab the chair as all the juggalos are in the ring, and it's about to cave in. I'm like, I'm gonna break my arm getting this shitty chair to have Madman Pondo sign.
And that gathering was where I talked to Madman Pondo and said, hey man, I'm starting as a wrestler, you got any advice? And he said, he thought for a moment and he said,
oh, no.
What's the difference between an independent wrestler and an extra large supreme pizza? And I was like, I don't know. He goes, the pizza can feed a family of 4 or something.
Words of advice from Madman Pondo.
Here's the lineup of people, by the way, on the Gathering of the Juggalos 2001. Suicide Machines, Mars, Myzery, Psychopathic Riders, Project Born, 3-6 Mafia, Bone Thugs and Harmony, Blaze You Dead Homie, Twiztid, Dark Lotus, Vanilla Ice, and ICP.
That was also the year that I was standing next to Greg the Hammer Valentine in the pit, and he was drunk. Drunk.
3-6 Mafia and Bone Thugs and Harmony, that's pretty big.
I always think of that.
I
always think back. I'm like, man, 3-6 doesn't really tour. It was kind of crazy to see them.
Yeah.
Oh, the good old days.
Greg Hammer also was. I remember I still have the Bruce Beefcake autograph. I couldn't get Greg the Hammers because he was sleeping at the table, head down on the table, and I'm like, I'm not waking him up, so I'm just getting Beefcake, I guess.
Who would have known 20 years later that you would share a toast with Greg the Hammer?
Share a toast, but then 20 years later, literally be drinking buddies with Brutus Beefcake at Astronauticon. He loved us, rubbing my belly. I was probably because I was feeding him beers the whole night, but he's like, I remember he goes, I have to go to the karaoke thing. I got to make an appearance. I'm like, you don't have to. They just invited you. He's like, I think I have to go though. I think it's part of my duty.
Yeah.
So I bet you this was the Friday night, because Myzery is the Friday night I found from Gathering of the Juggalo Archives.com. Suicide Machines, Myzery, and Psychopathic Riders were Friday night, and then it was Project Born, Ice-T, Blaze, and Twiztid. So maybe then who we were saying wasn't there actually. Yeah, so it was probably after Friday night's show is my guess that we got him out of there.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some kind of archive somewhere about that fight, but yeah, that was, oh God, what an event. And you played a pivotal part in that. You could have saved his life, or you could have cost yourself or all of us our lives. Either way.
Yeah, but I saved his life. And,
yes,
that's a good deed, really, saving a man's life.
Again, patting yourself on the back. Goddamn.
Oh, that had the Morton's List seminar, that gathering.
Okay, this isn't a fucking Gathering 2001 episode. If it is, we'll bring you back. Although you've just told the best story, so oh god, see, I
you
knew
talked
it.
about punching a horse. That's always fun.
How can you not talk about the Juggalo punching a horse when you're talking about the Gathering? All right, so that's our Myzery story, and that was our Myzery verse.
Back to the song.
Goes into we have another little chorus, and then another little not intro, but I don't even know who that is. That's ICP, right? Saying the reintroducing everyone.
That's Myzery doing it, but then ICP says, "I smell raisins,"
which is fucking stupid. I have that circled too.
I always wondered why the hell he says that.
I know. He says because first he says, "I smell gunpowder."
Yeah.
And then he says, "I smell raisins," and then in his actual verse he says, "I smell garlic."
Yeah.
Is he having a stroke? He's just smelling random shit. One thing I did look up,
smells like
because I thought I knew
Myzery,
this. Yes, at the end of that, when he says when he says "para siempre," that means forever, like Psychopathic Records forever.
Yeah,
forever. Maybe he's channeling his inner Terry Funk for you.
I mean, I guess if you're the Loco Insane Clown Posse, what's more loco than smelling raisins out of the blue? I guess.
Do raisins really smell?
They're sweet, kind of. Maybe
if you boil them, maybe.
Jesus Christ! All right. So then we're into the ICP verse, and fucking this is prime fucking 98, 99 ICP, where it's just it's not
random words.
Yeah, and they're just kind of talking, it's just very fitting of that era. And Chris seems to think that it's because they're channeling their inner Ice Cube. I don't know where the fuck he gets that, but
I didn't know this era. Early on, the Carnival Carnage Ringmaster time, which you said all he does is talk, but I think Jay's trying to rap kind of like Ice Cube in that era.
Okay, well, what's he trying to rap like in this era?
I don't know, but I do like this. You get a little callback in Violent J's second verse where we have Lex Luger, then we get his tag team partner Sting showing up. It's kind of sweet.
This tag team
and
partner.
You could say maybe Shaggy saying that's my Ugandan voodoo flow. So Ugandan.
Yeah.
Got a lot of wrestling in this one.
Yeah. But he ain't no wrestler.
old folks to the ropes and chop their throats. I mean, that's Ric Flair reference. So.
Yeah. I didn't realize how many there is in here.
Well, that's what they do. That's what they talk about. That's why they didn't want Twiztid talking about wrestling. God damn it, you're stepping on our toes here. You gotta lay off of that shit.
He's like, we'll give you one. We'll let you reference Lex Luger, but you gotta talk about Super Balls.
Yeah.
All right.
You gotta do it. I don't know. They're just back and forth talking about your dick in your homie's butt. I mean...
Juggling your balls a bit.
Yeah, it's not I don't know, not their best work here, but Chris will still defend it because he's a suck ass.
I mean, I don't know. It's there. There's some funny parts. I do like Shaggy calls himself a serial killer, murderous molester, and then just says, "Nah, that's Jay who's into that shit." That part always made me laugh.
At the end there, they reference Sam Kinison, who is, if anyone doesn't know, he was a comedian in the 80s and 90s who died in a car accident.
Hearing this back in the day, I had no idea who the fuck they were talking about. I had internet to look it up, I guess, but I didn't even think to do that. I'm just who the fuck are they talking about? Who is this guy?
Yeah, he was in, I mean, you know who he is now, right?
Yeah, now I do. But at the time when I first heard that, no idea what the hell that reference was.
I'm just making sure. I think he's most famous probably for Back to School, but I mean, he definitely was, stand-up comedian, and I think he was boys with Rodney Dangerfield, so he had a lot of stuff there.
And nice little reference to another Juggalo-centric artist, Isham Samples, some Sam Kinison stand-up on I can't remember the Esham song that has him. It's Nine Bloody Bodies. Is that the name of it? Nine Bodies? Something like that.
Does it reference the like his stand-up, or is that because he had a song too?
Yeah, they pull like parts of his stand-up where he's like screaming and yelling like a maniac.
That was the other thing he was famous for, was like the screaming.
Yeah. So. Insane Clown Posse. I like how they say that.
You know what I don't?
Sam Kinison, right here, it says criticism. Sam Kinison's comedy was at the time accused of containing misogyny and homophobia, so he would be super canceled today.
Yeah, in the 90s, if it was bad.
Yeah, early 90s, late 80s. It's homophobia.
Yeah. Well, late 90s when it gets real, it's just like, you'd be shocked to find an artist didn't have homophobia and stuff in their lyrics. Those late 90s got out of hand. I mean, every Raw and Nitro sign, I'm like, Jesus Christ.
I was about to say something interesting.
Sorry, threw you off track.
No, that's okay. One thing I don't like about this song, and ICP does it a lot, when they intermix saying psychopathic and psychopathic, like what do they even do that? It's so fucking stupid. But like they just made up their own word, and it's like, I don't know. I always find it strange, but they definitely do it on this song.
They really don't do that anymore, do they? That was like a thing though for that time. They always call it psychopathic.
It feels like it was.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I don't think they've done it in forever. So maybe they've.
It's kind of funny on this song. Like, they're three artists who are all on the same label, who all probably recorded this together, and it feels like one where it's like, you know, you buy a feature from someone and you just have them ship their feature to you. That's how this feels, because none of it goes together. They're all like different style, different flow. It feels like three artists who don't know each other at all.
Yeah.
I mean, jumping right into it. Yeah. I mean, this song is so disjointed, and I don't know. I don't think it's good. Like, if we're jumping right ahead to how you think, like where you put this song, I'm putting it like bottom of the CD.
Yeah, it's a skip. Even back in the day, it's a skip.
Even in full Juggalo mode, it was a skip.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bottom half, I would say. There's it's the lowest one to this point, for sure.
Yeah. I think we've talked about it in other episodes. Like, if this is Mike Clark, I don't know if it is or who does this. The beat is obviously the same beat, but they change it for each person just a little bit. Like, Myzery is a little slower, or has a little less, and then it kicks in and he starts rapping faster, and it kind of adds to his verse. Twiztid is like that the whole fucking time. Like, so it's tailored to each person, but yeah, you're right. It's like three totally different sounds, and obviously that's what the song should be, because it's like featuring all three. Like, it's saying, hey, this is everyone who's on the label, but it's like not cohesive at all.
An ICP feature never fits anywhere, really. I feel like because their sound and style is so different than everyone else. They don't really like plug in well on features for people.
That's true. And I guess the other, I don't want to say problem, is this is Twiztid's CD. And I guess they start the song, and you could argue they have the best verse, but it definitely doesn't feel like a Twiztid song featuring anyone. It's just like three random mini songs. It's very odd.
It feels like a song that would be made for like Psychopathics for Outer Space, you know?
Yeah, like definitely bottom of the barrel bullshit. They were like,
I just meant it was not tailored for their album for sure. It's tailored for like a Psychopathic compilation.
Yeah. Well, that's one way of putting it. Yeah, I don't know. It's like I said, it's bottom of the rung for me. Like, not their best effort. Not to anyone's fault, but yeah, just not the best outing on the CD for sure. I also assume we don't even have to go into like Twiztid history. It's clearly not like, if it's not one of the best ones on the CD, it's definitely not one that we care about in the history of Twiztid, right?
No, and like you said, no, what do we call it? Juggalo culture things that stand out that are referenced, you know.
Yeah. There isn't. Like, maybe it's because the whole song is like slower in nature. I feel like I pick up on more, but yeah, nothing that I'm like, you like remember or you reference or it's in other songs or whatever.
It's the only song that actually references the item that the hatchet man holds correctly. It's more a meat cleaver than a hatchet.
Well, then, by that alone, then it's holds a place in Juggalo history.
It has something going for it.
And I think Bob alluded to it before, but I haven't really gotten a chance to look. If anyone knows, please let us know. Did they, and I mean like all 5 of them, ever perform this live together?
No way, right?
No, because the falling out, I think that would have killed that.
Yeah,
I'd be curious if any of it was ever performed live. I don't think any of it would have been.
I could see like Twiztid. Well, okay, like I'll plug this in because I've been doing that on recent episodes. Like I'll plug in if they played their part on the Mostasteless tour.
Yeah, that would be the only time I would think. Out.
I don't know. Twiztid's good about like throwing random shit at gatherings and like after parties and stuff. Like I bet they have, but I'd be really interested. Yeah, they did not have many opportunities to do this. Even just the 4 of them without Myzery, like at a Hollowicked or something, like or a Lotus set. I don't know. I'm sure they have. I just don't know, and I'd be curious if anyone knows for sure if they've ever seen that at an after party or a gathering.
Christmas party almost feels like it'd be something at a Christmas party, you know?
But to my knowledge, not the case.
Well,
I like your.
I imagine Jay doesn't want to be like called out as a creepy molester, and I imagine Madrox doesn't want everyone to know how tiny his dick is. They probably both buried it.
You think that's why they don't want to do this song anymore?
The two main eventers were like, this doesn't really paint us well in the light. You two B teamers, you can't decide. Stevie Ray and Vincent can't decide who's
they're sitting around before Halloween, and Jay's like, let's do that song where you talk about your small dick. No, you're doing it. You're doing the dick song. We're not doing hound dogs. We're doing the dick song.
The dick song.
And then Madrox is like, what dick song? Because I have a lot of songs about my dick.
Oh man, this entire season has been about Madrox's dick and what he's done with it,
and what he's done with it.
I'm just shaking my head.
I mean, we discussed it on Murder. He's got stamina. That guy went for like an hour, right?
Yeah, I mean,
whacking it, yeah.
But by Chris's math, he thinks that he went there at 1:34 in the afternoon and was jerking it for 13 hours. So,
well, if he's the multiple man, maybe it's a split copy of him.
That's true.
He left multiples. He left multiples on something.
Multiple copies of his DNA all over the pillow, right, or something.
Yes, well, he washed his hands, so that's all that matters. But he left his jizz all over the pillow.
Hey, he was getting ready for the pandemic 20 years later. With his hands clean.
Oh, fuck. I don't know. Is there anything else worthwhile about this song, or are we wrapping this up? Because I have a fucking headache, and I can't take this anymore.
I think we touched on everything we could touch on Meat Cleaver.
Yeah, Bob, you have any outgoing words for us?
No, I got dinner that's been waiting for me, so I'm hungry. So
I see. That's the most important thing. So. All right, well, we can wrap this up. Bob, I appreciate you coming on. This was awesome. Yeah. I always like catching up with you, and we need to do it more often. And
agreed.
Maybe we'll have you back. We'll have you for something else here. Just as a reminder. Oh, go ahead.
I just said that would be great. Yeah.
Oh, Yeah, no, for sure. We need to get you out for another wrestling show here. One where the cops don't pull a gun out in front of us.
That's also a great story.
Yes, where any wrestler would say, well, that's part of the act, or okay, kayfabe, brother. But me and Bob saw a cop pull a gun on a wrestler in front of nobody. Like, that was not part of the show. No one can bullshit that.
Well, no. It was one of the, the tangent of it, yeah. So there was a big brawl, pull apart at the end of the show, and the security staff wasn't really, like, informed, and they thought it was, like, a real, like, fight that broke out, right? So the one guy starts pepper spraying people, and now wrestlers are pissed, and so they start going after him, and they chase him back into the parking lot. And he's backed into a corner, and he pulls out a gun, and he starts swinging at him, being like, "I'll fucking shoot your head!" Like,
yeah, we definitely just saw like Jamie Cox and a cop with his gun out, and we're like, there's no fans here, so we're just going to turn around and go out the other door.
And then the police actually were called, and certain wrestlers, because of their reputations in life, had to run.
Did you get paid for that show?
That was my payment. That was well worth the trip. That story.
I also never got my burger I ordered at that bar, so it was terrible all around.
Well, the pay that they stiffed Bob on made up for the money that Chris stiffed them on later on.
I go, hey, is that burger? She goes, you didn't order a burger. I go, no, I ordered a burger. I'm pretty sure I would remember that. She's like, no, you didn't. I'm like, okay.
Oh, good times. All right, well, this has been fun. This is a Juggalo Rewind. Please find us on all social medias at Juggalo RWD. And the website, juggalorewind.com. Once again, thank you, Bob, for being here with us. We'll definitely have to do it again.
For sure. And maybe someday there'll be an updated version of Juggalo Family that this podcast will get called out on.
There's stories for other days. We have lots still in the bucket here for us to dig into later on. We'll definitely have you back, and we'll do this again.
All right. Talk to you all later.
All right. Thank you, Bobby. All music played in this episode and in this entire season is owned by the respective publishers and copyright holders, and is reproduced for review purposes only under fair use. Season 1 of the Juggalo Rewind, Mostasteless, has been produced and distributed with full permission from Magic Ninja Entertainment. Thank you to George, Mike, Dustin, and Twiztid, and everyone at Magic Ninja for allowing us to do this podcast for you.